I'm looking to get up to as many shenanigans as possible with Contrary as I hit the Regulation F ranked ladder. What is going on, YouTube? Espresso Shucko here, and today we are bringing the Serperior and Grimmsnarl team to the Reg F ladder. Serperior here is an absolute treat to use because it is a contrary Pokemon. For those of you who might not know, contrary inverts the stat boosts and stat drops that the user of the ability takes. So what would normally boost Serperior stats will lower them, and what would normally lower them will increase its stats. And this is going to be great because not only do we have Leaf Storm on Serperior, which is a heavy hitting grass type stab option that normally lowers the user's special attack 2 stages, we also have a lot of means of increasing Serperior stats while also having access to moves that can greatly disrupt our opponents. On our Thundurus here, we have Eerie Impulse and Scary Face, so we can naturally cut the special attack and speed stats of our target's 2 stages with each of those moves, which are going to be incredibly helpful. And if we run into something like, say, I don't know, maybe for Reg F or Indeedee, which would block Prankster because of the anti-priority with Farigiraf's Armor Tail or Indeedee's Psychic Terrain, we can always turn these moves back on Serperior and give it a speed boost or special attack boost from Thundurus, or in Grimmsnarl's case, a special defense boost thanks to Fake Tears. And Fake Tears is going to be a very nice supportive option next to Serperior because we can always soften things up with that Fake Tears, have them take a -2 special defense drop, and then Serperior can come in guns blazing with that Leaf Storm and do a little bit of extra damage as it starts to set itself up. Serperior here has the Terra Stellar Terra type, and this is honestly a situational Terra at best because it does keep the defensive properties of the user's original typing, which means if we pop the Terra Stellar with Serperior, we're going to have the strengths and weaknesses of a grass type, and there are a lot of weaknesses to be wary of, but the nice trade-off for Stellar is it does give Terra Blast some unique properties, the first of which is going to be the fact that it is going to be a guaranteed super effective hit into opposing terrestrialized Pokemon, which is going to be relatively handy if Serperior gets itself set up with some Leaf Storm boosts. But the other thing here is, on top of that, Terra Blast also lowers the user's attack and special attack 1 stage when it is in the Stellar typing, so Serperior now has a secondary means of increasing its special attack, which could be relatively nice. We also have Glare on Serperior as well, so if we go for a nice burst of speed into Serperior with a Scary Face off of Thundurus, we can outspeed a lot of faster Pokemon and then get a very reliable Glare off, which means we are going to get a guaranteed paralysis off into the target so long as they're not an electric type, which could be really good since they might miss a few turns here or there, which is going to be relatively handy. As far as some damaging options outside of Serperior, we have Urshifu here with a Terra Water and Surging Strikes to just, absolutely wreck things. And plus, Thundurus also has Rain Dance on it, which means we're going to go for that Rain Dance, and then the Surging Strikes is now going to get a 50% boost from the rain that will further increase its power once we go Terra Water and just start deleting things left, right, and center. We also have Close Combat here to do some incredibly hard fighting type damage while also having U-turn to pivot Urshifu out, and then we can always pivot into Grimmsnarl or Incineroar. Grimmsnarl does have the Fake Tears, as I already mentioned, but it also has dual screen support in the forms of Reflect and Light Screen. And if we pivot into Incineroar, not only do we get the Fake Out pressure from Incineroar coming in, we also have the Intimidate to keep physical attackers at bay, and we have Parting Shot to help Incineroar not only recycle its Fake Out pressure and Intimidate, but it can also lower the target's attack and special attack stat 1 stage, while also boosting up Serperior if we decide to go for that instead, which is going to be relatively nice. And plus we have Helping Hand on Incineroar 2 to just give a 50% boost to any of our offensive attacks coming from any of Incineroar's partners, which is going to be relatively nice. And then finally we have Gholdengo here with Shadow Ball and Make It Rain to do some relatively solid damage, especially if we get a nasty plot up beforehand, and if not, well, at least we have the Life Orb to give us a little bit of extra firepower. Anyways, that's the team in a nutshell. Let's jump on in to some battles. Alright, my opponent here has Fluttermane, Landorus, Rillaboom, Whimsicott, Incineroar, and Raging Bolt. So a lot of special attackers, which makes me wonder if Whimsicott might be running a Fake Tier set, which, if it is, it's not actually all that bad for Serperior, so maybe we could bring Serperior here and go for some Fake Tiers boosts, which is a weird thing to say, with my Grimmsnarl. We could maybe do that, and if not, we could always go Serperior and Thundurus. Thundurus' Covert Cloak will protect it from Fake Out, which would be good for helping deal with the Rillaboom and the Incineroar. So, I don't think Urshifu looks the greatest here because of the Rillaboom and the Raging Bolt, but the Surging Strikes could be really nice into Landorus and Fluttermane. So we might keep Urshifu in the back, but I think we're going to lead with Serperior first. I think maybe we'll bring Thundurus next. And then we could also go for Grimmsnarl and... You know what? I think we are going to bring Urshifu. I think we're going to bring Urshifu, and then that way too, we do have the U-turn to pivot it out if we need to make a switch or anything like that. If Thundurus goes down early, we can always lead, or not lead, but switch Urshifu in. So, let's see how this works out. That'll be the real question, if this is going to go well for me or not. So it is going to be Rillaboom and Fluttermane into my Serperior and my Thundurus. So I don't mind going for an Eerie Impulse into that Fluttermane, and then that way we can just cut its special attack in half, which would be really handy. We haven't seen a booster energy, so this could be a Focus Sash, so getting the Paralysis into Rillaboom might be nice, and having the Eerie Impulse just keep Fluttermane in line might be really handy as well. So, the nice thing here is we do have the Covert Cloak, so we don't have to worry about the Fake Out into Thundurus. So, it's going to be into Serperior. They probably assumed I just had the Cloak there, but we'll get that Eerie Impulse off into the Fluttermane, so its special attack is going to go down. So at a -2, we're not in that bad of a position right here. So we'll get a little bit of chip HP back for Serperior. I think we can go for a Leaf Storm into the Fluttermane, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this instead. I'm going to go for the Terra Blast right into the Rillaboom, and I think I'm going to Eerie Impulse into Serperior. And then this way I get a special attack boost right out of the gate. And there's the Protect out of the Fluttermane, so this should be some decent damage into the Rillaboom. So I'm pretty happy with how that works out. So I lied. That was not the greatest. They're going to Woodhammer into Thundurus. I'm okay here. We're at +2 special attack. We're going to get some more HP back. Now, what I could do here is I could also go for a speed boost into my Serperior, or I could just go for a Eerie Impulse into the Fluttermane. And do I dislike the idea of going for Rain Dance? Because Rain Dance would help out the Urshifu too, so I don't think that's the worst thing imaginable. But maybe what we'll do is we'll give Serperior some speed, and then that way too, if something I don't want to deal with comes in, great. We're at +2 special attack on Serperior. We can get some speed off into it as well with the Scary Face. We're going to see the Terra Fairy come out on the Fluttermane, but this thing is still at -2 special attack, which is great. So Serperior is going to get a lot of special attack here with that nice Leaf Storm connecting. So that's enough for a KO. That's great. I wonder what the item was, because we hadn't done any damage to it. We didn't see the we hadn't seen the booster energy, so that's gonna hurt a little bit from the Rillaboom, but again, not the worst thing imaginable. I kind of wish I had Giga Drain on Serperior here to get back some HP, but I do have Protect, so that could be handy as well. So it's going to be Incineroar. I think maybe what we might see is we might see a Fake Out into Serperior. So going for a Protect might not be bad here. And we can go for the Rain Dance. And then this way we can get Urshifu set up should Thundurus go down this turn. The nice thing here, too, like I mentioned, I do have the Covert Cloak on the Thundurus, so we don't have to worry about Incineroar's Fake Out. They might just go for raw damage into Thundurus, because we don't see any Fake Out at all. So, depending on their grassy terrain turns, this could be really good for Urshifu to come in here. We're going to see the U-turn off of the Incineroar. That is just spectacular. So, I think I'd go for a Wild Bolt Storm here. And I think I just try to do some raw damage to that Rillaboom. We're at +4 special attack, which is pretty nice, and we're at +2 speed. So I could just go for the Leaf Storm into that thing, or I could just try to lock it down with a Glare. And we go for the Wild Bolt. Maybe we get the Paralysis on the Incineroar. We did see the U-turn come out, so that's probably going to be enough to knock out Serperior. So getting the Paralysis onto Rillaboom feels like the safe play. And we'll get this Wild Bolt off. This Thundurus is a bulky Thundurus, so it's not like it's going to do that much damage, but we did get the Paralysis off into the Incineroar. So Rillaboom actually has a berry. That's interesting, which makes me wonder if it's maybe Assault Vest Incineroar. So we're going to take the Wood Hammer there, unfortunately, but do we get the Paralysis off into the Incineroar? We do. That is very, very helpful. So I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go for that Terra Blast into the Rillaboom, or potentially into that slot. Rillaboom might switch out here, and if they do, well, that means nothing's going to take a Terra Blast all that great. And even a Leaf Storm could do a lot of damage. So I'm going to go for that. I'm going to go for that Terra Blast, and I'm going to go for the Wild Bolt. We'll get a little bit more chip damage off into Incineroar, and we'll go from there. If the Incineroar is Assault Vested, that definitely makes me think that we don't have to worry about the Rillaboom now, but we do still have to worry about whatever the partner Pokemon is. If it's the Assault Vest, it's not going to be doing all that much damage with the special attacks. I finally lose my Covert Cloak. We're going to see who comes in here. If it's Raging Bolt, that could be a little bit spooky. If it's Landorus, okay, it is the Raging Bolt. So that is a little bit problematic, but I think what I want to do is I want to get this Eerie Impulse off into the Raging Bolt, and then that way we can cut its special attack. Now, if Raging Bolt just goes for Protect and Incineroar knocks out Thundurus, not the greatest for me, but not the... Yeah, okay. So Incineroar is probably going for Thundurus here, which is not the greatest for me, but at the same time, it means I get to keep Serperior around just a little bit longer, which is nice. So there's the U-turn to pick up the KO into Thundurus. Now, the good thing here is we don't have to worry about Incineroar being able to recycle its Fake Out. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in Grimmsnarl. And honestly, a Spirit Break into Raging Bolt is not bad. Yeah, I really like the idea of going for that Spirit Break into the Raging Bolt, and I also like the idea of going for the Terra Blast. So we should get some respectable chip damage off into the Raging Bolt, and then depending on how much damage we do, we might be able to just rely on Grimmsnarl to take it out. No Thunderclap coming out of the Raging Bolt here, so that is going to be very nice, except we do see a Calm Mind coming out, so Grimmsnarl is going to put this thing back to neutral, so that is going to be very helpful for Urshifu in the long run. Unfortunately, we don't pick up the knockout, but the good news here is Urshifu can at least dodge a Thunderclap that way, and the Incineroar is probably not going to be doing all that much to my Grimmsnarl here. So they get a little bit of chip back from the leftovers. I think what I have to do is I think I can U-turn actually safely into the Raging Bolt because of Unseen Fist. So I think what we're going to do here is we're going to actually set Reflect for the Incineroar matchup into Grimmsnarl and just try to take it out from there. So the nice thing here is I am sashed on my Urshifu, so If Raging Bolt wants to Thunderclap me, sure, they can Thunderclap me. They'll bring me down to my Sash, though, and this should be enough to pick up a KO. And if I get to keep Urshifu this turn in case Incineroar doesn't go after it, well, then I can always go for the Surging Strikes into Incineroar next turn. So that should work out at the end of the day. So here comes the Thunderclap. It's actually into Grimmsnarl. Okay, so they probably just assumed I was going to go for Protect on the Urshifu. So I'm going to get my Reflect off there to help out Grimmsnarl, and Urshifu is now going to preserve its Sash, which means Incineroar is in for a very bad time next turn. So here comes the Flare Blitz off of the Incineroar into my Grimmsnarl, which that is a lot of damage even with the Reflect, so definitely going to be worth getting that Surging Strikes off into the Incineroar here, and we have that Spirit Break to follow up. So overall, I think that worked out relatively nicely, that we got the read right on the Thunderclap. I mean, I was fully prepared to take the Thunderclap into Urshifu, but I'm just glad that Grimmsnarl took that. So it worked out very nicely right there. So my opponent does forfeit as well. So that wraps up relatively nicely. Serperior did some great work here with the speed boosting contrary shenanigans from Thundurus' Scary Face and then going for Glare. The Eerie Impulse was nice for boosting up our special attack. So overall, very solid strat to how the strategy is meant to go with this team. All right, we have Ursaluna, Blood Moon, Articuno, Sinistcha, Tornadus, Alolan Ninetales, and Urshifu. Now, Articuno aside and Tornadus aside, I really like the idea of going for the Leaf Storm with Serperior. I also really like the idea of having Thundurus come in here. Now, if it's Thundurus and Serperior against Urshifu, depending on the form of that Urshifu, that could be a little bit scary for Serperior, but it might not be the worst thing imaginable. So I think maybe we'll bring the Thundurus, and then this way, if they lead Ninetales, we have the Rain Dance support, which means bringing our own Urshifu might be really good in the long run here. And depending on that Urshifu form again, Gholdengo looks really nice. Now, the Ursaluna's a little bit of a problem for Gholdengo, but Gholdengo can do a lot of damage to a lot of these Pokemon with Make It Rain, so I think we're going to bring the Gholdengo here. I think, yeah, I think that should be okay, because I don't think I'm going to need Grim. Yeah, I think we're okay. I'm really second-guessing if I need Grimmsnarl or not, but we'll see how this goes, because the light screen support would have been really nice, too. Like, that was the tempting thing behind Grim, was having light screen and the fake tears to boost up Serperior, but we'll see how this works out. So it is going to be Urshifu, Rapid Strike, and Tornadus with my Thundurus and Serperior. So I think what I want to do is, I think I want to Scary Face that Serperior, or not Serperior. I mean, I could always do that for the speed boost. But I think I want to go for the, Leaf Storm into the Urshifu, and I would like to go for a Scary Face into Serperior, actually. And then this way, on the off chance they go for a Bleak Wind, I'm going to feed them. Nope. Tailwind's going to be going off first, but I'm going to get a speed boost into Serperior. We didn't see a Protect or Detect off the Urshifu, so Serperior should be fast enough now to just nail this Urshifu, so you'll love to see it. So Serperior's special attack has increased right there. The Torn, unfortunately, has to go for a Prankster move to be able to outspeed Serperior now, which means Serperior can threaten it pretty effectively with a Terra Blast. So Articuno is going to come in here. I partially want to go for my Terra now, but I kind of want to save it. So I think what I'm going to do now here is I'm going to Terra Blast into the Tornadus, and I think I'm just going to Eerie Impulse. Actually, no. I'm a little bit weary of what that Articuno can do, so I'm going to Terra Blast into it, and I'm going to Eerie Impulse into Serperior and increase my special attack a little bit further. And then this way, I can just do some big damage. So Tornadus is opting to switch out, which makes me think Ninetales is coming in here. So Thundurus is not going to appreciate this, but I can always go for a Rain Dance. So we'll get our special attack boost off into Serperior, and the Serperior is going to nail the Articuno here, so that's okay. I would have preferred more. I would have preferred a lot more, but the Blizzard is not enough to take them out. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to try to lock down Articuno with a Glare, and I am going to Rain Dance. And then this way, we're going to get rid of the snow. We don't have to worry about Articuno's evasion, and we can get that Glare, and maybe we get the full para off of the Articuno. And the Ninetales is not going to appreciate the fact that it doesn't get the Aurora Veil, so overall, that is a relatively steady time for the team. Thundurus is going to dodge the Blizzard. We're going to lose Serperior, but Serperior put in a lot of work here. So I think now what I can do is I can Surging Strikes with the Urshifu, or I can just go for the Make It Rain. Neither of these Pokemon appreciate a Make It Rain off of Gholdengo, so I think that's okay. And we have the Urshifu in the back, so we'll go for the Make It Rain, and honestly, both Articuno and Ninetales just do not appreciate Thundurus right here, so I think we're just going to Scary Face the Ninetales as well. Articuno is going to switch out, so great. We'll get the Speed Drop into the Ninetales. We'll just nail both of these Pokemon with a Scary Face, or rather, we're going to hit them with a Make It Rain. We're going to nail the Ninetales with a Scary Face on top of that. So it is going to be Terra Water. Okay, so they're going to resist the Make It Rain, but that leaves them open to Urshifu coming in here and just doing some good damage as well. So we're going to get that Speed Drop, and then Gholdengo is going to just hit them as hard as it can. And plus, we can always go for the Nasty Plot next turn as well. So I'm going to lose Thundurus here, but not the end of the world. So Gholdengo is definitely going to enjoy keeping its Steel typing, and I think Urshifu is going to come in here and go for a Terra Water to go for a U-turn into either of these two Pokemon. So their Tailwind is gone, which means Torn might want to do that instead. So I think a close combat into the Ninetales off of Urshifu can be okay too. So I think that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna drop the Bleak Wind weakness with the Terra Water, and we're gonna go for close combat into the Ninetales. And who knows, maybe they switch in the Articuno for Ninetales, which I don't dislike the idea of hitting that as well. So we'll go for our own Terra Water here with Urshifu, and we'll just try to do some major damage with these two Pokemon. So there's the Tailwind. Ninetales does have a Speed Drop into it from the Scary Face. So I'm going to eat a Moonblast, but that's fine. Urshifu is going to finish off Ninetales, and Gholdengo should be able to finish off the Tornadus here with a Shadow Ball. Articuno is going to come in here. So I think what I can do is I think I can safely go for a Make It Rain with Gholdengo and a Detect off of Urshifu. So that should be alright at the end of the day. So, Freeze Dry off Articuno will do a lot of damage to Urshifu, especially now that I have lost my Focus Sash. So I do have to be a little bit weary here. So Articuno is going to come in. They are paralyzed too, so maybe the safe play here is we go for the Nasty Plot, and we go for the Surging Strikes, and then depending on how the Tailwind... I will take that too. I will definitely take that too. It was going to be a little bit questionable speed dynamics, but I'm alright with my opponent canceling the battle there. So Thundurus and Serperior definitely put in a lot of work that first game, or that first beginning of the game, and yeah, Gholdengo, even at -1, picking off Tornadus was just the icing on the cake right there. Anyways, good game to my opponent. Alright, my opponent here has Dragonite, Ogerpon, Wellspring, King Gambit, Gouging Fire, Chien-Pao, and Fluttermane. So, this might not actually be a good matchup for Serperior. So, how do we want to proceed instead? So, Grimmsnarl looks really strong here with the screen support. Urshifu does not look bad either, especially since we can always lead Thundurus and go for a Rain Dance and a Surging Strikes, depending on what my opponent has. Close combat and U-turn are going to be very nice here as well. Now, we don't have Tailwind because Thundurus is here instead of Torn, so Scary Face is going to help a little bit, but it's not going to help as much, especially since my opponent does have a lot of priority on their team. So I think Urshifu and Thundurus is a very good lead here, because we can always slow things down, and we can always threaten them with a Scary Face and Surging Strikes. Gholdengo might not be bad. I kind of want to bring Grimm for some screen support, and I do think we bring Gholdengo and try to get some nasty plots off for the late game, or rather, we at least try to get a nasty plot off, but we'll definitely see what happens here, to say the least. For all I know, I might just be able to go for a Make It Rain and then just rinse and repeat with the Life Orb damage, but we'll see. So, it is going to be Gouging Fire and King Gambit. So, definitely glad I didn't bring the Incineroar. And the close combat off of Urshifu into King Gambit looks really nice, but that could be a Terra Fairy King Gambit or a Terra Dragon, which would resist Surging Strikes. So, maybe what I might have to do is I might have to go for a U-turn. I definitely want to go for the Scary Face into the Gouging Fire, though. I'm going to trust my inner judgment here, and I think I'm going to Surging Strikes the King Gambit. Yeah, I think I'm going to Surging Strikes you, and I think I'm going to Scary Face you, and then that way, if you just go for Howl... Oh, that works too. Maybe Ogerpon? If it's Ogerpon, that's really good for them. No, it's Dragonite. Okay. So, I don't like that I'm going to be hitting this Dragonite with Surging Strikes, but a speed drop into Gouging Fire is going to be very nice here with the Thundurus, so Urshifu should be able to move before it. So, if they went for Howl, Dragonite's going to be a bit of a problem, but if they went for damage, great. So, how much damage is this going to do to the Dragonite? Not a whole lot, because it is a resisted hit. Unfortunately, Dragonite's going to be able to resist everything my Urshifu wants to do, so maybe bringing in Grimm might not be the worst thing imaginable. They do go for Breaking Swipe off of Gouging Fire. Now, I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to U-turn. No, I think I'm going to hard switch into Grimm. I'm going to hard switch, and then that way they go for a Breaking Swipe. Great. Not the end of the world. And I'm going to go for a Wild Bolt and just try to pick up the paralysis into either of these two. Something tells me I might be losing Thundurus this turn, so I would kind of like to try to get a little bit of chip damage into both of these Pokemon, and if not, I don't mind getting a Rain Dance up right before Thundurus goes down as well. So that could be something to keep in mind. So getting Urshifu out is definitely the safe call right here. And plus, we can always bring in Gholdengo and go for Shadow Balls into Gouging Fire. So that could be the other thing we do too. Now that I'm thinking about it, a Rain Dance would be really nice for dealing with Gouging Fire. We don't hit it, but we do hit the Dragonite, so we're going to see an Aerial Ace off the Dragonite, and we're going to see a Heat Crash following up into Thundurus, so Thundurus is going to survive, and I think what we're going to do now is I think we're going to Reflect with Grimm, and I think we're going to go for the Rain Dance, and then this way too, we shouldn't have to worry about Heat Crash as much. And on the off chance that Dragonite does pick up Thundurus with Extreme Speed, at least we get a Reflect up to help both of my Pokemon in the back. So there's that working in our favor. So yeah, I think that's a safe course of action. No Extreme Speed off the Dragonite because we're getting our Rain Dance off first with Thundurus, which means we're going to get our Reflect. So in theory, we should be able to save both of these Pokemon. And we're going to see an Iron Head off of the Dragonite, which is going to be some big damage. And we're going to see the Heat Crash into Grimm as well. So Grimmsnarl hangs in there with 3 HP. I'm going to go for a Spirit Break, not Spirit Bake. We're not baking bread here. And I think we're going to go for the Wild Bolt and just try to get a little bit of chip damage. And now, if at anything, I'm just fishing for the paralysis with the Wild Bolt Storm. So we're going to see Dragonite switch out, which is good. If we see King Gambit come in, I love to get that little bit of chip damage off into it with the Wild Bolt. The Spirit Break is going to be a little bit concerning here, giving this thing a Defiant boost, but at least we're going to get some good damage. They went for the Howl with the Gouging Fire, but depending on how much damage we do with the Grim, that could be really nice. That is nowhere near enough, but at the same time, we can always bring in the Urshifu and go for a Surging Strikes if we need it. Yeah, and plus, like I said, we do still have Gholdengo in the back, so I don't dislike this. I think what we're going to do is, we know they have 3 physical attackers with them, but they might have a Flutter Mane in the back, so I think we're going to set the light screen just in case. And we're going to go for the Wild Bolt, because maybe they go for the Sucker Punch into the Grimmsnarl slot instead. They're going to withdraw Gouging Fire, so if I'm right here and we do see the Flutter Mane, the screens will be nice. It's actually going to be the Ogerpon, so the light screen is going to be worthless here, but we do have Gholdengo here. We do have the Urshifu. So, on the off chance that they go follow me with Ogerpon and a Dark move, that could be a little bit bad. But Urshifu's going to come in here. Or no, I brought in Gholdengo by mistake. Yeah, I meant to bring in Urshifu here. Okay. That's fine. We can go for the Spirit Break off of the Grimmsnarl, and we can try to get this Make It Rain off. Or, no, the Make It Rain is not going to be doing me any favors. We're going to try to get a Shadow Ball off into the King Gambit. They might just assume I go Protect with the Gholdengo. So, this might not be the worst thing imaginable. I don't know, though. I have a... Oh, okay. We're going to get the... We're going to get the Shadow Ball off on the King Gambit. We're going to knock it out. Great. Which means we're going to get a little bit of chip damage off into the Ogerpon, potentially. Because I definitely think they go for... No, they're going to go for Horn Leech. All right. All right, I'm very okay with that. We get to keep Gholdengo, and we have Urshifu in the back. So, U-turn would be a tremendous amount of damage into the Ogerpon, especially since they can't protect the Ogerpon, and we do have the... Reflect for at least another turn. So we could U-turn that and Shadow Ball the Dragonite, or we go for a Make It Rain, and then that way we can do some big damage that way. Now, it is Dragonite coming in here. Gouging Fire could be a problem, but at the same time, we saw that Gholdengo went before their Ogerpon, which is big, so I think between Make It Rain and U-turn, this should be enough to knock out the Ogerpon. And if Dragonite goes down to Make It Rain, even better. So then I can always go for the Shadow Ball and the Surging Strikes into the Gouging Fire if it works out. So I'm shocked I didn't see a Sucker Punch off that King Gambit, though. But like I said, maybe they thought I was going to go for Protect off Gholdengo. So... Alright, so we get U-turn off into the Ogerpon. That is nowhere near enough, unfortunately. But Make It Rain is going to pick up the Dragonite. Now, I can just see a Horn Leech coming off into the Urshifu. Close combat might have been what I needed there, but it is what it is. We're going to see the Ivy Cudgel instead. Alright, Gholdengo is going to live right here. The rain has now stopped. I want to Shadow Ball that Gouging Fire, and I want to U-turn the Ogerpon. So I think that's precisely what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to go for the Shadow Ball into the Gouging Fire and finish off the Ogerpon. I really thought they were going to go for Urshifu with that Horn Leech, which would have been really bad for the Gholdengo, but hey, I will take it. I will definitely take that. Yeah, all right. So Let's see how this works out. The Gouging Fire, its booster energy is gone as well. Here comes the Terra. What is it going to be? Is it going? I'm assuming. Oh, it's Ogerpon. Okay. Okay. U-turn should still be enough at this range. Yeah, with how little Ogerpon's HP is, Urshifu should finish it. They're going to go for the follow me too. Why? Okay, so we're gonna knock out the Ogerpon here, and we're gonna get the Shadow Ball off into the Gouging Fire. Nope, I lied about that. The Gouging Fire is actually faster than Gholdengo here, but we're gonna be able to hit that thing with a Surging Strikes, which is going to be nice here. Now, depending on how much damage they can do, we could be in a little bit of trouble. I have 2 more turns of Reflect. That's right. Okay. I forgot I was Light Clay on my Grimmsnarl. So we're going to get Surging Strikes off into the Gouging Fire, which is going to be an okay amount of damage at the end of the day. We've got it down to half, so 1 more Surging Strikes should be enough next turn. So here comes the Breaking Swipe. That's not going to be enough to pick off Urshifu. And honestly, I don't think Heat Crash or Breaking Swipe is going to knock out Urshifu. And plus, Surging Strikes does have the guaranteed crit factor built into it, so this should be relatively safe. So there's 1 hit, and there's hit number 2 to pick up the knockout. So yeah, Urshifu did it. Urshifu pulled out the win there into the Gouging Fire, which I'm very happy about. I'm glad I did not. I'm really glad I did not lose it to the Horn Leech off the Ogerpon. So I don't know if maybe they just thought that Gholdengo was going to be a bigger problem with the Reflect Up, but I'll take it. I will definitely take it. Also, good game to my opponent. I don't know about you guys, but I definitely feel like some shenanigans were definitely caused with Serperior here. Game 1 and Game 2 were incredibly good games. We ended up cutting the Fluttermane special attack in half right out of the gate in Game 1, which meant we were able to take the Dazzling Gleam from it, no problem. And then we turned that Eerie Impulse back on Serperior and gave it a special attack boost. And the Fluttermane, going for its Terra, thought it was safe, but no, Serperior nailed that thing with a Leaf Storm and picked up the KO, thus reaching +4 special attack. And then the Terra Blast off of Serperior was just starting to rack up damage. It did a alright amount of damage to the Rillaboom. It wasn't the most damage that I would have liked, but at the same time, when the Raging Bolt did come in, we were able to do a very respectable amount of damage to it before it got its Calm Mind off, and then Grimmsnarl put it in a critical range with its Spirit Break, allowing Urshifu to finish it off at the end of the day. Despite expecting to take a Thunderclap, we didn't end up taking that Thunderclap with Urshifu, so Urshifu held its Focus Sash intact, finished off the Raging Bolt, and then it was just Grimmsnarl and Urshifu staring down the Incineroar, resulting in my opponent forfeiting. And then in Game 2, my opponent went right out of the gate with Tornadus and Urshifu Rapid Strike and went for a Tailwind, while Thundurus used Scary Face on Serperior, giving it enough of a speed boost that Serperior was able to outpace the Urshifu Rapid Strike and finish it in one shot with a Leaf Storm, thus securing a free +2 special attack boost. And then when the Articuno came in, we turned Eerie Impulse onto Serperior, giving us a +4 special attack, and then Terra Blast was able to do a fairly solid chunk to its HP at the end of the day. And Articuno is a relatively bulky Pokemon, so I'm very happy with the amount of damage that +4 Terra Blast did. We didn't end up getting to keep Serperior and Thundurus on the field for very long because the Articuno did a very heavy amount of damage to both of their HPs with Blizzard, but we were able to disrupt their setup and deny the Aurora Veil by using Rain Dance off of Thundurus to turn the snow into rain, thus preventing Aurora Veil from working. And we also did get the Paralysis off into the Articuno before Serperior fainted, which meant that even though they did get a second Tailwind off towards the end of the game, that Articuno likely wasn't going to be outspeeding my Terra Water Urshifu, which Urshifu did end up cleaning up the match. It ended up getting that close combat off into the Terra Water Ninetales, while Gholdengo finished off the Tornadus, thus leaving Gholdengo at -1 from a Make It Rain, and Urshifu to stare down a paralyzed Articuno. And then finally, in Game 3, we ended up going up against King Gambit, Gouging Fire, Dragonite, and Ogerpon, and despite Serperior not coming to the battle for that one, Urshifu made out just well. We did end up having to switch Urshifu out relatively early on after they switched King Gambit into Dragonite, but between Thundurus's scary face denying Gouging Fire a very fast howl, we were able to slow that thing down, and it boiled down to King Gambit coming in, taking a Wild Bolt Storm off of Thundurus and a Spirit Break. We ended up giving them a +2 boost from their Defiant because of Grimmsnarl, but despite that, my opponent didn't go for the Sucker Punch into Gholdengo, which meant Gholdengo was able to finish off the King Gambit with a Shadow Ball, and Urshifu and Gholdengo together wore down the Ogerpon with Make It Rain and U-Turn, while Gholdengo did secure the KO into Dragonite with that same Make It Rain, thus resulting in Gouging Fire coming in to have a one-on-one showdown with my Urshifu, while Urshifu still had Reflect up in its favor, so it was just a matter of wearing it down with a Terra Water boosted Surging Strikes. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed watching the team in action. Be sure to let me know in the comments below if you did, and also if you want to see some more information about the team, I will have a link to the Pokepaste down in the description below. Anyways, I will see you next time.